welcome back to my channel. I am the Mass Trans and you are watching me, baby. Now before we get today's video started, I just want to give a quick what's up to my peeps and a diabolical middle finger to the creeps. You know who you are. Alright you guys, good morning, 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 good morning. Happy Friday. It is Friday, the weekend is here. You can tell because my spirits are up. So got a couple of things I want to talk to you guys about this morning. In no particular order. I'm gonna give it to you as it comes to me. Got my phone with me. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about it. So, what do I want to talk about first? Do I want to talk about Drag Race? Do I want to talk about Robin? Do I want to talk about Tyler, the Creator? Do I want to talk about Lizzo and Cardi B's new song? Let's talk about, All right, let's talk about, let's get this out of the way. Let's talk about Lil Boosie right quick. It'll be short and sweet, I promise. So, Lil Boosie is convinced that based on the fact that Batman's sidekick Robin has come out, that there is a gay agenda.
Boy, if you don't...
Lord help us. No, Lord help Boosie. Boosie needs some business.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
Boosie needs some business because he has lost his marbles, his scruples. So for those of you who may not be aware, recently Robin came out as not even gay, bisexual. And Lil Boosie is not here for any of that. Lil Boosie is out here burning Batman toys, DC Comics, stabbing rainbows. Lil Boosie is not here for anything gay. And I'm laughing not because it's funny, but because it's just so ridiculous that this is what moves people, right? In neighborhoods all across America, not even neighborhoods, let me take the neighbor off of it. In hoods all across America, you got black men killing black man after black man after black man after black man, right? Black men who do not respect the value in each other's lives, who will kill each other over something as simple as having one of their new sneakers stepped on. Facts. You know, and Lil Boosie is convinced that it's a gay agenda that is a danger to black men in the black community. It blows my mind. It blows my mind that two men loving each other is what people are afraid of. This is what you're afraid of. Two men who are consensually loving each other is what people are afraid of. I swear I don't get it. And I try to be a person who looks at things from all perspectives. Just because I'm trans doesn't mean that I'm always going to agree with the trans perspective on an issue. You know, just because I'm quote unquote LGBTQIAP+ doesn't mean I'm always going to agree with the LGBTQIAP+ perspective. What I see is right and wrong. And who a person chooses to love just is not your goddamn business. It's not your business. There isn't an agenda for people to want to live in their truth, live honestly. And I honestly don't understand why people are so offended by people living out loud. Excuse me. Because when people live out loud and are honest and live with integrity in who they are, that means you as a cisgendered woman don't have to worry about who you're dating. He's comfortable with being openly bi because the Lil Boosies of the world are not attacking him, right? So therefore, the likelihood of you as a cisgendered woman bumping into a man who likes to play both sides of the field are lessened because the environment is less hostile, so he feels more comfortable being himself. The climate that Lil Boosie and the TIs of the world create where people go, because there's nothing you can do to eradicate LGBTQIAP+, right? Even when it was not open, it still existed. People lived quietly and people found ways to skulk around and do what they wanted to do in this clandestine capacity, but it was still happening. And then they would go do what they want to do and go back home to their families. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know how you like to live. I don't know what works for you. But for me, give me the facts and let me make my own choices, my own decisions. And as a trans woman, I want to know. I want to know because typically, you know, I know this may come as a shock to some of y'all. But I date heterosexual men. Oh. I know some of y'all probably losing it right now, but I date heterosexual men. I date men who are attracted to women. Gay men don't want all this. Gay men ain't got no time for what she is giving, okay? Gay men are not checking for this. Straight men are, right? So I typically date straight men. Now, if a man was free, now I'm asking you, I'm talking to cisgender women right now. Now, as a cisgender woman, would you prefer to know if your man was attracted to trans women or not attracted to trans women? And let me make this distinction too, right? Because see, I know there are some trans women out there who think that all men are attracted to trans women. And I believe that there are some men who would see me as a trans woman and be attracted to me. But then when they find out I'm trans, that attraction would be nullified. I absolutely believe. Now that doesn't mean that they won't recognize the beauty. That will not be denied. That will not be denied. But what it means is they're genuinely attracted to cisgendered women. Nothing else. They are hardline heterosexuals and do not make any deviations from that. And I can respect that. But the question that I'm asking is, if you're a woman who, and there are some men who are, you know, sort of on the fence, like where they'll say beauty is beauty. They don't really care. Or they might care, but they don't want to see certain parts if you still have them. So there's a spectrum. There's a spectrum. But the question I'm asking is, as a cisgender woman, wouldn't you want to know that? Wouldn't you want to know, have, you know, Todd come to you and say, hey, Denise, I'm just picking a random name. Hey, Denise, I'm attracted to trans women. And you'd be like, oh, that's cool. I feel you, bruh. But this right here ain't gonna work, but I'm happy for you. You know, do your thing. But that makes me uncomfortable. So, you know, but I'm proud of you for being you. Wouldn't that be a better place to live in than, oh, hell no, he gay. Oh, he gay. Wouldn't that be a better place to have a mutual respect where a person feels comfortable coming to you and being honest with you? Because that puts you in a position to choose. Because I'm telling you, this is what happens when, oh, hell no, that dude, he gay. When y'all do all of that, all you do is make all of the men around you, and I promise you that somebody sitting around you has played the field. I promise you that. I promise you that. And when you do all the extra stuff, all the extra shenanigans, all you do is make them internalize it. Keep it right up in here. They keep it right up in here and say, oh, I'm not saying a word. I'm not saying a goddamn thing about who I like, what I like, because I already know these folks is ignorant as hell. So, they're not going to say anything. Then when you find out, when you go through that phone and see a Jack app or trans porn on his phone, hell no, I can't believe he didn't even say nothing to me. Well, why don't you think he said anything to you? Why would you have said anything? When you were little and you broke the lamp and you knew that when your mama came home and you had broke that lamp and it was shattered into 1,000 pieces, you went upstairs and took your ass to sleep and tried to pray that the whooping didn't come. Right? So what makes you think that he's not trying to avoid the whooping? So when you talk like that, all homophobic, all transphobic, be aware that at any point in time that you should encounter a down low man, quote unquote, down low man, that you are part of the problem. You are part of the reason that he is down low. Leave people alone. Leave people alone. Get yourself a life. Who another person chooses with just ain't your business. It ain't your business, sis. How a person chooses to present ain't your business. Ain't your business. You know, y'all out here wearing bonnets in public. That ain't my business. I don't care, do you? Flip-flops and pajama bottoms in the grocery stores. Ain't my business. You out here in house shoes in public. Like, that's your business. But people need to mind their own effing business. And, you know, it's just crazy to me because, just to piggyback off of this topic with Lil Boosie and Robin, people are upset with Tyler, the Creator, because during the most recent versus battle with the Locks versus whoever Jim Jones and the rest of them people are, the Locks, Tyler, the Creator, was complimenting Jadakiss, and he's aged well and his skin looks good, and that he was basically overtly crushing on Jadakiss. And a lot of men in the comments felt the way about Tyler, the Creator, complimenting Jadakiss and felt like it was disrespectful. And it's crazy to me on one hand, right? But on another hand, I get where they're coming from. It's crazy to me because men will objectify women and not even think twice about it. As a trans woman, I can tell you how often I get objectified. Men do not care. You know, they will objectify women left and right, but when a table is turned and a man is objectified, then suddenly men don't like it. Well, if you don't like it, don't do it. Don't do it. Objectification is not okay in either direction. So people are upset, but Jadakiss went ahead, but Jadakiss was just like, look, it is what it is. And I thought that was really cool. That really showed some progression in hip hop because he could have taken complete offense to it and did a little Boosie on us. So shout out to Jadakiss for just, taking it with a grain of salt. Because here's the reality, right? Toxic masculinity runs so deep that there are some heterosexual men who cannot even acknowledge the beauty that they see in another man. Right? Because the eye sees beauty. And I don't care how that beauty is what shape or form that beauty comes in, right? It could be man, woman, child. It could be, now I'm not talking about having sexual attraction, but I'm just saying recognizing things that are attractive or things that are pretty. So if you see a beautiful woman, if I see a beautiful woman, I'm like, damn, she's beautiful. That, she's bad. I can recognize a beautiful woman. Do I want to sleep with her? Absolutely not. Don't want any parts of it. Don't bring it around here. Don't bring it around here. But it's beautiful. But if you ask a man, is he handsome to you? Oh, I don't judge dudes. I don't judge men. What? How is recognizing the beauty or attraction in another man somehow infringing on your masculinity? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I didn't ask you to judge him. I didn't ask you if he was a 1 through a 10. Is he attractive or not? And you know he's attractive. Because as a man, even though you're not necessarily sexually attracted to him, you can still recognize what's attractive. You can see why another woman would want to sleep, why a woman would want to sleep with him, even though you may not want to sleep with him. So, men just have to get comfortable with recognizing that how another person identifies, who another person loves, doesn't have any impact on your masculinity, on your existence. This is just this person's right to live. This is their birthright to live and be happy in whatever choices that they've made, whatever predilections, whatever pre-existing or leanings they may have. It's their right to be those things. So just leave them the F alone. If you don't mess with it, then don't mess with it. Lil Boosie, calm down. Calm all the way down. Quit stabbing rainbows. Ain't no gay agenda out here. The only agenda, as I've said before, is to live openly and authentically. And if that is what you consider to be an agenda, then yes, there is one. People are sick and tired of hiding and being in closets and not being able to love who they want to love openly. And they have a right to live in the light. So if you think there's an agenda, there you have it. All right, so moving on from all the homophobia, let's talk about Drag Race. I think that's what I want to talk about. So we're going to talk about Drag Race. All right. So the most recent episode of Drag Race, again, it's interesting because there was sort of a gay cartoon theme to this one. I think it's called the Drag Tots, if memory serves me correctly. But this episode, I think we're down to the top 5. And we're talking about Drag Race All-Stars, by the way. We're down to the top 5. Let me sit this phone down for a second. So we're down to the top 5. We have Trinity K. Bonet, Eureka, Ginger Minj, Raja, and Kylie. And so the challenge this week is basically to create this character around the Drag Tots. Now, right off the bat, it looks like Raja is going to be the one who is going to struggle through this one. She comes up with a character. I want to say she called the character "I See You, Queen." So RuPaul came into the drag room, and he's doing his Tim Gunn thing where he goes from contestant to contestant, assessing what they created thus far. So when Raja comes and she says, "I see you, queen," is the character's name, RuPaul immediately has a recoiling response to that name. And I'm thinking to myself, right, that's not a name, sis, that's a whole sentence. "I see you, queen?" Stop. Stop. So after RuPaul gave the critiques to Raja, you can see Raja's mood shifted. RuPaul also gave negative criticisms to Trinity K. Bonet, but Trinity didn't Trinity was more so internalizing the mini challenge where they did this whole classroom scene where they did the girl most likely votes where, most likely to pass gas, most likely to win, most likely to steal your man, this, that, and the third. And so Trinity wound up being voted by the rest of her fellow contestants as the one most likely to leave next. And that really sort of touched a sore and sensitive spot within Trinity. And so you could see that her mood shifted once they said that about her. So anyhow, they're working on this whole drag tots challenge. And again, Raja is struggling. Ginger seems to be coasting through. Kylie is having some struggles. Now that I think about it, Ginger was probably the only one who really didn't have any visible struggles. Eureka was struggling, or at least it seems like she was. And so let's skip through. So we get to the main stage, and it's time for presentation. And I'm concerned about Raja. I'm concerned about Trinity because I'm like, dear God. Dear God, Trinity, babe, after what you did last week during the Snatch Game, you need to have a whole 180. Like, we need to see this thing going a whole opposite direction. So Trinity comes out first, and her character is like this feline character. And I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, I watched it because I knew it was about to be a train wreck. In my mind, I had prepared for the train to wreck. I was prepared. I was like, this is not gonna go well. This is not gonna go well. I mean, and there were some issues with the costume, if I'm being completely honest. Like the tiger stripes were, I guess tiger stripes are incongruent to begin with, but you could just see that it was unfinished, her costume. But she met the challenge enough to get through it, and what she lacked in the costume, and she made up for in presentation. The presentation was on point. The affectations were on point. The makeup, the hair, everything came together in one cohesive package and made sense. And I was like, bravo to Trinity. You murdered that one, sis. So Trinity does her thing. Then after Trinity, I believe we had Ginger Minj, and her character was sort of the Southern Belle character. And she pretty much came out giving you this typical Ginger Minj aesthetic. I wasn't necessarily blown away by it, but it was consistent. It was clean. And it was Ginger. So it was on brand. Didn't really have any complaints or any critiques about it. Excuse me. I hope you guys didn't hear that. But it was Ginger. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, I might have given it a 7.5 to an 8, just because there was nothing innovative about it, in my opinion. But it was still clean enough that I was like, bravo to Ginger. Then after Ginger comes Raja. Based on the critiques that Rue had given Raja in the workroom, I was all ready to eulogize sis. I was like, look, let me go ahead and prepare the eulogy, but because she's about to die on this stage. It's a wrap. She is about to die. It's over. It's done. Finito. It's been fun. Gotta run. So I was preparing for Raja to tank this thing in an epic way. But sis pulled it out. She just pulled it. Sis turned that out. Her character was sort of I See You Queen. And I was thinking, I'm like, she should have named her character Visionaria. You know what I'm saying? Something that had to do with vision, but she went with I See You Queen, or some sort of play on that name. But even though the name as a whole sucked, the concept was on point. The look was on point. The performance or the interpretation was on point. Everything came together in one cohesive package that was spot on. And I'm like, these editors play with my feelings. They play with my feelings in these edits, because they had me convinced that sis was on her way out this door. But Raja did not only come through with the performance, he actually won the challenge. Now, let's talk about that for a second. Now, in my opinion, and I know I'm just one lowly woman, honey. It seems like every time I feel like one person should win, they give it to, quote unquote, the underdog. Like, I don't know if there's this concerted effort happening in the background of production there, where they're trying to push this motivational thing on us. But even though I love what Raja did, Trinity won that one. Trinity won. I'm sorry. Trinity was clever. The movements, the affectations, the interpretation. To me, in my opinion, Trinity's just came together. Now, on the flip side of that, Raja's costume was cleaner than Trinity. So I guess now that I think about it in that context, okay, maybe I could see how they were sort of, I still give a slight edge to Trinity. I'm sorry. Just because I don't know if she's just more seasoned or what it is, but there was just something to me that leaned more towards what Trinity did. But Raja won, so congratulations to her for that. Kylie did this whole witch thing, and to me, Kylie was the worst. Now keep in mind when I say the worst amongst these group of 5 girls was still no joke. Like, Kylie killed it too, but hers just didn't have the punch. It didn't have it just didn't move me the way that the other ones did. She did a sexy witch, and the costume came together. She was having some struggles with that as well. Makeup came together. It was a cohesive look once again, but there was something lacking in the messaging, the branding for me that just didn't come across the way a lot of the other girls did. Eureka decided to do a villain, and hers came together. She sort of gave you a Disney villain. I forget the character's name, but she gave you this Disney villain, and it all came together. But I feel like Kylie was the one, in my opinion, who should have been in the bottom this week. I'm not saying she should have been sent home necessarily, but in my opinion, if I had to judge them all based off what they did, I feel like Kylie's was the most underwhelming. So anyhow, we get to the lip sync challenge. So it's Raja versus Cameron. Now this is what I found interesting. So they're singing to, I think it's Charlie XCX. Listen, y'all, I have no idea who this child is. Don't know a song she ever wrote. I said, Lord, I'm grown because I have no idea who this baby is. I do not know what she sings. Yeah, she looked pretty, but I had no idea who she was. So they're singing one of her songs with Charlie XCX or something like that. Don't judge me. So it's Raja versus Cameron. I'm like, uh-oh, Raja's about to murder this because Raja can actually perform. And first of all, the song just didn't take me anywhere. But when I was watching, first of all, the cameraman gave Raja probably 10% of the camera time that they gave to Cameron. I don't know what that was about, but I was just like, let me see what she's giving, because I couldn't see what she was giving. They just kept showing Cameron, and then a flash of Raja. Cameron, flash of Raja. Cameron, flash of Raja. Like, I'm like, damn, can we get a little bit more balance in this editing? Because I'm not seeing what she's giving, and I need to see everything so I can fairly assess who should have won and who shouldn't have. Now, when I watched the performance, Raja, in my opinion, gave a very muted sort of interpretation, which is very sort of soft, laid back. But it looked like she wasn't really trying to win this lip sync. And comment below, let me know if I'm the only one who thought that. It looks like she was putting forth sort of basic or minimal effort in terms of this lip sync. So I was asking myself, maybe she didn't want to win this one. Maybe she didn't want to be responsible for having to send anyone home. So she was just going to sort of fumble her way through this lip sync and leave that to whoever the lip sync assassin was to do the dirty work on her behalf. So that way she didn't have to walk out the competition with blood on her hands. So it'll be interesting to see next week who she actually chose to send home. But anyhow, so Raja loses the lip sync to Cameron. And it was Eureka who was sent home. And I'm okay with Eureka going home. I really feel, and I've been saying this from the beginning, that it's going to be Ginger Minj who winds up winning this season. I think it's going to come down to Ginger and Trinity. I think those are going to be probably the top 2. If I had to choose a top 3 at this point, it would probably be Ginger, Trinity, and Raja. And I don't know, because it's really a toss-up at this point. It really is, because Kylie has been pretty consistent, and Kylie is really funny, really quick-witted, so Kylie can still come. I don't know. I just know that Ginger for sure. And I firmly believe Trinity also. So those are, I'm gonna give you my top 2 at this point, and that's gonna be Ginger and Trinity. And just because Trinity is not the best, she doesn't necessarily have the best aesthetics in my opinion, but she's definitely a really seasoned performer, and so for that reason, I'm giving her a leg up over the rest of the girls who are a little bit less seasoned in my opinion. What else did I want to talk about this episode? So we finally hear a little bit about what's going to happen as far as the game within a game. So I don't know if they're going to just bring all the girls back who've been voted off and have them all compete in a lip sync battle to bring 1, maybe 2 back. I don't know how this is going to work, but it looks like next week we'll be finally getting some insight in terms of what's happening there. So I'm excited to see what happens there. I'm trying to think of who they sent home. I know they sent home Yara, Jiggly, Pandora, Silky Nutmeg Ganache. Trying to think if there were any strong performers. Yara is probably the strongest performer that they've sent home. So there's a potential that Yara might actually come back. So we'll see what happens there. So anyhow, that's it for RuPaul's Drag Race. Is there anything else I want to talk about? I talked about Batman. I talked about Tyler, the Creator. I talked about RuPaul's Drag Race. It was one more thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. But anyhow, this video is child, I'm at 30 minutes. I'm at 30 minutes. So I'm going to cut this video here. If there's something else that happens to... that I happen to remember, then I'll come back and create a new video. But I think 30 minutes is plenty of time. Alright, you guys. So please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Ask yourself this one poignant question: why be bitter when you can be better? So let's be better together. Together as a team. Okay? Alright, you guys. I'll see you guys in my next video. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Do all that good stuff. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye-bye.